And then some 12 for Christian common and some now work council no Charlie. In widen. Pa. Now I can promise you that I'm afraid to tell you that say no man because they answer the Koya. A bad thing, sir. The MPP Ashanti regional chairman be funny trade team. A bad thing. Now, penny bit ma kwefiasi.
Prior to the registration of the company, that is Wuntumi Farms Limited, Chairman Wuntumi wrote to Exim Bank that the board of directors of Wuntumi Farms Limited had met on December 9th, 2017, and had resolved to seek a loan facility of 19 million from the bank to support its farm project at Asari Nkwanta in the Ashanti region under the Mining Alternative Livelihoods Initiative. The application letter stated, among others, that the credit facility was meant for a farming venture and that the company had secured 100,000 acres of land for that purpose. On January 16, 2018, based upon the application submitted by Chairman Wuntumi, the chief promoter of Wuntumi Farms, Exim Bank approved a medium-term loan facility of 18,734,260.
So at this point, Osha Chairman Wuntumi, the case ne di aye na. Daddy Lumba nebo on him say aye because the Chairman Wuntumi's case, to be frank, it is nowhere ending today nor tomorrow. And I think the manager Okwoku was very smart. And Grofo Mutu no for say already drawn fanfic case nemu. In fact, and testify against Eiiii Wuntumi. They were very smart because Okwoku diagram ko no subekwa ko dem exact year said when Chairman Wuntumi same years not the beko because as time goes on, day in day out, information be brena na eba even though say Chairman Wuntumi ubohu so appear or court near the day na current one cry about boom defrauding be away defrauded Exim Bank. Now therefore the story is very interesting. Sometimes me trust you know be one mean tell you. And what was the mindset behind all what Chairman Wuntumi was doing? And answer them crofobia techre and no more use Chairman Wuntumi name as a face off. Because me jehwa me ntiase now therefore me no ba be just mu assets now 24 million cedis trendy now mo kira Chairman Wuntumi kokoji loan or Exim Bank say or this loan no ye farm now therefore farm no hun sensam no and twetwe komo ba ani de enye easy before I betie komo a attorney general ediba betu dwa no I think the case we na Sameba Eiiii hint on it earlier. Sameba Eiiii modi Chairman Wuntumi call court ye hu say ni video about bonti. In fact Wuntumi say Chairman Wuntumi na ni masesa. Sameba Eiiii ba be ka say ono hwe the way anioma kwa penny sources say Chairman Wuntumi's case is nowhere ending today nor tomorrow. Na afikra na eba be ye west. I thought say Sameba Eiiii no diagro because we share the way anioma kwa sisi I now understand why Sameba Eiiii was making that statement.
Some now work council no Charlie. Pa. Now I can promise you that I'm afraid to tell you that say no man because they answer the Koya. A bad thing, sir. The MPP Ashanti regional chairman be funny trade team. A bad thing. Pa. Now penny bit ma kwefiasi. Obeti mi akwefiasi. Na hey. The court asem no court nti ma me fan sem ni bi nsie kaka. But reset reset agenda na president ma eye no. Abusha ehu. Wa wunnim reset kro na ehu. Because a man penny bi o say afi mrani na yen test mrani na hwe. Enti so no man penny na di na yen test mrani won so. Enti this time around ehu wa to chacha. Enti reset no NDC ni kra no e kawa. Kwaso be hye.
Na sisi a wo hwe de corner Wuntumi den a obekwa kodem because ebia obenya chance bi odebeji no ho but the way omode bono omde kwedu we bono and the omoye so omode boni keke o omosanya the supportive evidence to support it. Now for the matter chop hot ent in someone Attorney General ono so e kan what this side and there all chire nkwan a Chairman Wuntumi say we be a farming company and yet ordered there as in bank edgy 24 million a year Ghana cedis. Ginty common what decide and yet and famra.
Company that is Wontumi Farms Limited, Chairman Wontumi wrote to Exim Bank that the board of directors of Wontumi Farms Limited had met on December 9th, 2017, and had resolved to seek a loan facility of 19 million from the bank to support its farm project at Asari Nkwanta in the Ashanti region under the Mining Alternative Livelihoods Initiative. The application letter stated, among others, that the credit facility was meant for a farming venture and that the company had secured 100,000 acres of land for that purpose. On January 16, 2018, based upon the application submitted by Chairman Wontumi, the chief promoter of Wontumi Farms, Exim Bank approved a medium-term loan facility of 18,734,260 Ghana cedis, which included a grant component of 6,768,260 Ghana cedis. This offer was accepted via a letter dated January 23, 2018, and Chairman Wontumi, acting as the Chief Executive Officer of Wontumi Farms Limited, and Thomas Nchibusueko as Director of Wontumi Farms Limited. The offer letter indicated that the approval of the medium-term loan facility was subject to the bank's terms and conditions. The loan offer letter further stated that the loan was secured with 10,000 acres of farmland of Wontumi Farms at Asari Nkwanta. The breakdown of the approved 18.7 million loan as per the offer letter was as follows. A. Purchase of agricultural plant and machinery, working capital, and then grant staff costs and consultancy fees. As part of the pre-disbursement conditions of the loan, Wontumi Farms Limited was to do the following among others. Execute an equitable mortgage over the land earmarked for the project, submit a valuation report on the land to be used as collateral, execute a lease agreement over the equipment, provide a letter of undertaking from off-takers to make payments in the joint names of Ghana Exim Bank and Wontumi Farms Limited, and then finally submit copies of the contract with the National Buffer Stock Company, under which Wontumi Farms was to supply the food items to buffer stock. IESO Agribusiness Consult, a company specialized in investment advisory services, consultancy and training and development, was contracted by Exim Bank and assigned to Wontumi Farms Limited as a consultant to the project. The key function of IESO Agribusiness Consult was to provide technical assistance to Wontumi Farms Limited. On February 14, 2018, IBAN Capital Limited, a company that specializes in financial technology services, cash management services, distribution of custom banking and payment software packages, was also contracted by Exim Bank and assigned to Wontumi Farms to provide a platform that will facilitate staff salary payments, customization, integration, POS, terminals, and biometric cards for the farm hands that were to be employed by Wontumi Farms Limited. Wontumi Farms Limited was to provide IBAN Capital Limited with a database of all workers, from which IBAN Capital Limited was to integrate the workers on a payment platform. IBAN Capital Limited would then receive funds directly from Exim Bank for onward disbursement to workers, to the workers' wallets as salaries and allowances. Ladies and gentlemen, Wontumi Farms Limited failed to provide a database of farmers, of farm hands to IBAN Capital, as there were no farmers working on the land, no farm hands working on the land. According to witnesses, Chairman Wontumi, as CEO of Wontumi Farms Limited, insisted and put pressure on IBAN Capital and Exim Bank to transfer the 400,000 meant for the workers to Wontumi Farms Limited on the basis that the youth who were involved in Galamsey were not used to complex electronic payment systems and wanted to be paid in cash. In order to execute the project, Wontumi Farms Limited had submitted a pro forma invoice to Exim Bank for the purchase of farm equipment, including tractors, combine harvesters, corn seeder machines, and Wellington boots. The invoice was submitted on December 15, 2017 as part of the loan application process. Subsequently, Exim Bank demanded proof that the equipment has been purchased. On March 18, 2018, Chairman Wontumi submitted a receipt from a company known as Kasama Enterprise for the purchase of the equipment in the sum of 4 million Ghana cedis. However, and this is where it gets interesting, the equipment purchase as shown on the receipt included bulldozers and excavators. Our investigations established that Chairman Wontumi had approached Kasama Enterprise, an industrial equipment dealer, and obtained an invoice with a promise to return to purchase the said equipment. He never went back to purchase the equipment. Instead, and this is where the criminal enterprise began, he forged the invoice he obtained from Kasama Enterprise by removing the word invoice and replacing it with receipt. This forged receipt was then submitted to Exim Bank as proof that he had purchased the equipment after the disbursement of the loan facility. The owner of Kasama Enterprise confirmed to investigators of the Economic and Organized Crime Office that the only document he issued to Wontumi Farms Limited through Chairman Wontumi was a pro forma invoice and not a receipt. He stated that after he issued the invoice, he never heard from Chairman Wontumi again, despite repeated follow-up calls. The forged receipt submitted to Exim Bank suggested that Kasama Enterprise acknowledged receipt of the sum of 4 million Ghana cedis for the purchase of earth-moving machines and farming equipment. The so-called receipt had on it, and ladies and gentlemen of the press, this is what gave him away, 50 days to supply and 1 year guarantee and service. Now, I hope you understand what this means. That when you receive a pro forma invoice, okay, pro forma means that you've taken it with the intention of purchasing. And so they will give you a timeline, okay, within which the supplier will supply you the equipment. And then also, if there are any services or guarantee terms, they will be indicated on the pro forma invoice. But Chairman Wontumi, as I said, took out invoice and replaced it with receipt to deceive Exim Bank that he had actually purchased the equipment. Investigations established that Chairman Wontumi did not purchase any equipment and as such could not register any equipment in the joint names of Exim Bank and Wontumi Farms Limited as per the loan conditions, even though funds were disbursed to him to that effect. That all the equipment he claimed he purchased could not be traced. Investigations established that though Chairman Wontumi submitted the forged receipt to Exim Bank, he stated during interrogation that he purchased second-hand brand new, whatever that means, second-hand brand new equipment, and that the receipts of all the purchases, including the documents on the equipment, were all sent to Exim Bank. However, Exim Bank has confirmed that neither Chairman Wontumi nor Wontumi Farms Limited submitted any documents covering the purchase of the required equipment except the forged receipts. In fact, when our investigators went to the ground, they realized that there were some obsolete, decrepit machines on the side, tractors dating back that were manufactured in the 1970s, and that were not functioning, were the ones that had been placed on the farm. So this was definitely a grand scheme designed to defraud Exim Bank.
Erona Attorney General Ochem said, Chairman Wontumi sa nyasa krono eni bukata a ode sise so no charges are omode bebo Chairman Wontumi eni.
It is clear from our investigation that Chairman Wontumi and his company, Wontumi Farms Limited, made fraudulent misrepresentations to Exim Bank with a view to obtaining the loan facility, and in fact did obtain the loan facility. The equipment they represented were to be purchased were never procured. The farming enterprise never materialized, and so no young persons were employed in Asare Nkwanta in the Ashanti region. But more importantly, the company and its director and CEO forged a receipt in order to deceive Exim Bank that they were in compliance with the loan conditions. These are not mere breaches of a contract, but constitute acts of criminality by no means a person than the regional chairman of the then ruling party. In the circumstances and the face of the evidence we have gathered in this investigation, thoroughly conducted by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, we have made the decision to prosecute Wontumi Farms and its directors with defrauding by false pretenses, forgery, and causing financial loss to the state in the sum of 24,255,735 Ghana cedis. This figure represents the principal sum plus the interest that has accrued so far. And ladies and gentlemen, by the time we file charges, which will be definitely after the Christmas break when we resume work, it might be that this figure would have increased because the interest on the principal keeps compounding. And so we will get the exact figure.
In that of what I would think personally, I don't think say Chairman Wontumi nkwana or some munchino. Chairman Wontumi omucho no nkwa dia and then case na nyede. Because how can you say okay, a state bank, but who was the one managing the state bank? Why not the boss at that very time? Because ECG, your Minister of Information, Bank of Ghana, you will be Mr. Siama. And with the Ezim Bank, no, why not oversee Ezim Bank? Leading say, ombe yi saska nefiwo, nipa no ordinary DHR na, and I say Wontumi ba so pelo na no mode man because no your party chairman. Because I think there's more to this, not only Chairman Wontumi alone. In form where attached to all this, Ebwa Jumedi no course no, they have to arrest them. Yanto to no muyi omuhano. I no sa na more information to that. Na se ka se Chairman Wontumi nkwa no machi no omo ba behwa ye ni case na say enyoma mu share dan ye clear because me personally no me hu ni say there are a lot of people related to this case I was say yen form on board. Sene be ya ebe hu de code ye ba ni na this agenda or this operation recover all loot ade no, it's not something we are, the NDC is joking with it because some ampeni ma crowd in what to be say so no cry ni this car yen famra ni ndi. In Tarofo, this is the current situation as at now. Uti common dear qua. You can tell say Wontumi. As at now, hey NDC, hey Mahama, because their case ne corner no ding. Ebi moso wa drink say yedi wiaska pa. Na ya mo wa drink say no mudi wiaska na mo mpe kwan bi. At least anka company mponka we bia anka. Wa sem so beti kakra with discount without any company. Hey. Out of my family, na almost a butre kadi enye, but we is too much.